What is that?
On the fan
That was
cam.
the Dallas Morning News this morning.
What in the hell?
Those are those 3-inch headlines Jimmy Johnson once talked about. Parsons traded from the Dallas Morning News. Defensive star sent to Packers after contract dispute. I think they missed an opportunity to say Parsons sent packing.
I mean, that's par for the course for a local newspaper nowadays, mailing in a headline.
Bobby, you went to the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco for the emergency press conference at 6:30. You start first.
It was, yesterday when the news came down, I think we were all starting to sense. I called you, what time did I call you? Like 2:30 or something like that? Where it was.
And call me.
You were starting to build. Well, I've got superiors I got to answer to, Chop. It started to build yesterday afternoon really quickly that this was where it was heading. I think it was very clear they didn't want to head into practice this afternoon with this hanging over their heads. So getting the deal done, setting it all up, and then getting the notification from the Cowboys around 5 o'clock that there was going to be a 6:30 press conference, and you get out there and there's 3 microphones up there. Then there was only 2. It was 3. Then it was 1. Then it was 2. Then there was talk of putting a third up there. I have no idea who the third was going to be for, if that was Schottenheimer or Will McClay, but they were talking about putting a third up there.
Why the changing of mics?
I don't know. Initially, I think it was only going to be Jerry when they worked it down to 1.
But someone had to be up there to correct the name Micah.
Right.
It's Michael. That his name has been officially changed.
I think what they said yesterday is true, that they were unanimous on pulling the trigger at the end.
Yeah.
I was still struck by how just exhausted or upset Stephen Jones looked sitting up there. And I guess it could just be exhaustion. It was a long day. It was a long thing that led up to this, and he probably was not looking forward to what they were about to have to sit up there and discuss. But, what stood out to me yesterday was just how disappointed Stephen looked by all of it, and then how Jerry wanted to just lead off with, guys, this here was about Kenny Clark and what an amazing football player he is.
This was about a 59 PFF grade. That's what this was about.
God, don't start with the PFF grade that early. I do have my I Hate PFF shirt on underneath.
2 firsts and defensive tackle Kenny Clark. What do you think of the deal?
Look, this is not a awful day. All right, you saved $47.5 million. It was not sustainable to have $130 million tied up in 3 guys. That's not sustainable in the NFL.
Agreed.
It's a terrible haul. It's an embarrassing haul.
Embarrassing.
It's Luka level haul. 2 firsts is embarrassing. It should be 3 minimum. Minimum. You got less than Khalil Mack, and he's a better player.
You didn't.
And we're talking years later.
You didn't get less than Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Khalil Mack went for 2 firsts, and then he went for a bunch of pick swaps, basically.
Okay, still.
Like the swapping play. I don't know that a bunch of pick swaps are in the 3rd round are different than a player who is a Pro Bowl player.
At the very least, you got the same as Khalil Mack. If you want to go and circumcise mosquitoes on me this early in the morning, fine. But that's still an embarrassing haul. It needs to be 3 1s.
When's the last time someone's gotten traded for 3 1s?
It would be a quarterback.
But it has happened as of late.
I think Goff was 3 1s. RG3 might have been.
Goff wasn't 3 1s. Goff was Stafford and stuff.
No. To get him as a draft pick.
Let me see.
They went from 15 to 1 or something. So it's been a while. And it certainly has not happened for a non-quarterback. But
Deshaun Watson went for 3.
Deshaun Watson. So that's my holdup. Trade them. I got no problem with this. This is not a. I didn't see anybody like sky is falling on social media. Most of the people I saw on social media or that I talked to personally were okay with it. Not happy, but okay with the move. Now, whether that was coping or not, but
I think more people were satisfied. You got to separate all this. More people were satisfied with the thought and idea of trading him, and then you got to put into the separate category the return that you got back. Now, one thing that I think we screwed up with the Anthony Davis deal, and I don't want to do it with Kenny Clark, is factoring in the player and what the player would get for a draft pick. The Mavs, their first-round pick, they're looking at it like we got 4 firsts because Anthony Davis is worth 3 1s or whatever you want to say on the market. We never include that addition. Kenny Clark is 30 years old. He's a nice player. He's a Pro Bowler. What would he have gotten out there on the open market? I don't know, maybe a 3 we're talking about, maybe a third rounder. Maybe you didn't want a win-now player. That was part of what they said last night in the press conference. We started eliminating teams who did not have win-now defensive tackles. So we took however many, 15 teams, 16 teams off the board. So it's not just 2 1s. You do have to factor in Kenny Clark, whether you're happy about it or not. Was this negotiation one of the things I wanted to figure out? Because something that's bothering me is the intent. This felt more personal and a message sent versus a negotiation. That Jerry Jones was going to remind the entire world it's his football team. You're not going to tell him what the number is, and you're going to negotiate and discuss a contract his way. I did feel a little bit better, Bobby, when last night Jerry, I thought, said, guys, you know what this is about, right? We offered 40 and a half, and they got 47. Period. That's it. Was that what this really boiled down to? I texted you, and I said, make sure they answer the question, was this about communication or was this about the actual number? And I'm hoping that this was about the actual number because I would not have supported the Cowboys paying him $47 a year.
Yeah, I think the interesting part of that is when you look at, like, well, this is what the number was, is he wasn't free. Like, he wasn't a free agent. If you're a free agent, the market can dictate what you have to pay. There is a little bit of an expectation of...
David Mulligetta, though, I think, to his credit, looks at it like you are basically a free agent. Mm-hmm. All I got to do is find someone else that gives us our number, and you have a tight back, and you're not going to play. So I'm kind of creating a free agent market, even though there is not one, and it's worked with Jalen Ramsey in this.
Yeah, I mean, he's had success doing that, and I mean, we talked about the 3 1s that came back and the guaranteed money for Watson. Watson was his guy, too. He was able to get Watson out of Houston as much as there was you're going to stay here and you're going to like it sense from them initially. But, man, this is – I think that it took a long time yesterday for Jerry to finally say this was about anything else other than making a better football team. But like he like I said, he led off there yesterday talking about Kenny Clark, not even the draft pick return. He was talking about, well, we're going to be able to stop the run. This sets us up to do this in the playoffs. And he almost kind of went out of his way. He was like, look, this is just about – I've been thinking about trading Micah all the way back in January when we hired Brian Schottenheimer. That's how long I've been thinking about this. That's how long we've been talking about this. And so – I think they went out there with clear messaging that they want to say, but it does cause you to have to like put your fingers in your ears a little bit and go like la 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 to not hear people say this clearly was about some of the negotiation and how personal things had gotten, and that's where it created an avenue for him to get 47 that the Cowboys couldn't or wouldn't match.
Micah upset him somewhere along the line. You know, somewhere along the line, Micah really hacked up.
We know what it was. He multiple times, Jerry alluded to the multiple meetings yesterday a couple times. Jerry Jones was like, man to man, we sat down, I went off my number, I increased the offer, I adjusted it to what you wanted, and then you're still telling me it's not good enough. And he's like, I don't respect you, like, as a player negotiating. I thought we had this bond. I thought there's a hurt here. That is a humongous, big, fat capital LIE when he's like, there's no animosity. There's nothing personal. It's totally fine. He feels like Micah Parsons betrayed him because Micah Parsons agreed multiple times. And then when Micah went back to Mulligetta, and Mulligetta goes, Micah, we're getting 47. We're after $7 million more, not 40 and a half, and we're after 4 years, not 5. But it's like you do all the legwork with someone, you feel like you got it worked out, and then they totally pull the rug from under you. That's where the animosity is.
That's the start, and then it continues. You know, it continues throughout as meetings are tried to be had, and the continuing back and forth.
Yeah, they were not thrilled with the training table.
No, they were not. Mm-mm. They were not.
He basically said that's not something that a team leader does.
And you hear Steven say, we were gonna let that. Yeah. And then Jerry's like, no, pooping all over that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the training table upset a lot of people over there more than they've talked about or led on. They were not happy with that. And Steven can say that's not what you make a decision on, but I think Steven and others could also say, like, somebody not toasting their glass? No. You don't make a decision to fire a 2-time Super Bowl winner because they didn't toast you.
Yeah.
But they've done that and still clearly believe that. A lot of this came down to, I think, hurt feelings. A lot of it came down to loyalty, respect, a lot of those different things for Jerry. The fact that the bombshell yesterday from Jane, that they came back and were like, they did pick up the phone and said, we're willing to negotiate. And Jerry said, you are going to play on this 5th-year option or you can leave. That shows that he was no longer ready to negotiate with them, and he was done here. That mind was made up. He was done here. Whether it was now or in the spring, he was done.
I saw you doing a lot of defending over the return, Bobby, so the floor is yours on your feelings regarding the compensation that is coming back with 2 1s and the D tackle.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this has to just come down to people too frequently will get stuck in a Bleacher Report article or will look at something else, or even some of the discussions we have here, and they think like, well, because that's been the suggestion, that is what the league values them at. And what the league looked at it as was there was so clearly a divorce coming with the Cowboys that if they just waited this out and said, all right, you can have him this year, but he's going to pick where he wants to go next year, and he's going to sign with us, and we're going to get 2 first-round picks, or we're going to give you 2 first-round picks, that's what you're getting as part of the franchise tag deal, then basically what they were given yesterday was, all right, in order to speed up your timeline by 6 months, we will give you something else. And the something else in this instance was, here's Kenny Clark. Maybe they could have gotten a 3rd-round pick, and it could have been 2 firsts and a 3rd, or maybe it was 2 firsts and a 2nd. Dallas wanted a player. They wanted somebody to play this year, and so all they were getting by this point, if you want to be critical of the return, then you need to be critical of them not trading him back in March.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Then you could have probably gotten more.
Yes.
And back in March.
And use the picks.
Yeah.
On this year's team, which Todd Archer was trying to get to multiple times, but Jerry wasn't understanding. And Steven was like, well, we made him the offer in April, so, like, why would we sit there and talk? We're not trying to trade him in April. We made him the offer in April.
But, I mean, it was this is something that I talked about yesterday, and this is something that I talked about with you behind the scenes, both of y'all, a couple weeks ago. Micah's side told them back in February or March, if you're going to make this difficult, you need to trade him right now. If this is going to be something that y'all are going to be painful with, get ahead of it and trade him now, because it's going to be ugly if we have to drag this on into the summer, and then we're looking at a deal. And so, I mean, they gave him the outline of, like, if you want the best possible return, do it now if you think this is going to drag on at all.
But that's dictating terms to them.
Right, and they don't do that. But ultimately, they did what they did. But I think that if you're thinking they could have gotten more than 2 1s in Kenny Clark,
at this point,
you couldn't. You were going to get 2 1s and somebody's player, or you were going to wait until the spring and get 2 1s. That's what you were going to get.